fingers that it lets you in because we all know how finicky.
I'm moderately Instagram savvy, but I had a really hard time with Dr. Katie Kangas because she was trying to do it off of a laptop. Let's see.
Okay, so I invited you, but let me invite you again. Oh, it says you joined. Yay!
I like Instagram because I can do a filter.
Okay. I probably should have done it. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I was gonna say I can hear myself, but
yeah, I thought I turned the volume down, but I figured it out now.
Nope, you're good. Okay, so for you guys who are joining us who are like, wait, where's Isabel? This is Lauren with Girls Gone Raw.
I'm her vacation sub-in, huh?
Really excited to have you come on and continue this conversation on greenwashing in the pet industry because, I mean, I think it's always a good idea to like just get different people doing different things within the pet industry and their viewpoints because so like with Isabel, you know, she's a journalist and blogger. So, but you actually like work in, this is what you do all day long is you make things for pets. So, oh yeah, it's okay on Riverside.
Instagram. I was going to say, I think Instagram kicked us off.
Did it? Yeah, you're frozen to me, so maybe.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
What's happening?
I don't know. Should I
said thank you for joining. Sorry, Instagram. Sorry, YouTube.
Maybe I'll close out and start again. What do you think?
It's not showing you live to me. Oh, now it is. Hold on.
See, I still have you like on a screen, but you're frozen. That's why I'm like, I don't know.
Sent a request.
If I accept, will it do 3? I don't know. I accepted it, but it's not. Oh, there you are.
Am I back?
You're back. Okay.
Okay. Oh my God.
Oh no, you're gone again. Okay.
What is happening?
I don't know, but can I? It's going to let me do Instagram. Oh, okay. So don't accept this join request.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and try again.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Hang in with us for just a moment longer. This is, to me, a very important conversation for us to be having. So please hang in with us.
I know. Go figure. Send request. Your request was not sent. Fantastic.
Oh, hang on. I have a... Oh, there we go. You're there. Yay! Okay.
And here I was bragging about how I thought I was Instagram savvy. And it was like, thanks for joining. Bye. Girl. And I was like... No, thanks.
So...
I threw my filter in.
Did you? So you do like all day long. This is what you do. You make things for pets to consume. And so I think it's a good continuation of this conversation to have your input on like what you're seeing, because last time I went through a list of terms basically. So guys, you can go check that out. We don't need to go through the whole list again, but a list of terms that are just like either not regulated or very loosely regulated. And I think it's very deceptive to the pet parent who is trying to do better for their pet.
And that was me. That's how I got here, is because my dogs had cancer and I just wanted to find something that I could trust. You know what I mean? Like everything had all of these ingredients that just they didn't need, and I didn't understand it. I was just trying to control everything, so I got sick of it. I'd been working in the pet food industry. I'd been working in pet stores and everything all across the board, and it'd be like real jerky, but with glycerin and smoke flavor. I'm like, I don't want smoke flavor. I just want meat. And that's kind of how, like, the very baseline of how I got started. I'm hearing an echo of myself, by the way. Does that mean anything?
Are you?
I am a little bit.
Yeah.
That's okay. But I tell people, and like I did the expo this weekend, like I was saying, and I get to talk to a lot of people with that that aren't my normal customer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think through Instagram and stuff like that, I get that kind of 2.0 pet parent, and I get the people that have done the research already. And that's kind of how they found a very weird kind of niche brand like myself. And it's hard because a lot of people are like, I'm sorry, what? Does that have a face? And I'm like, yes, let me tell you why. And I did have that conversation a lot because in my realm, I'm not even required to tell you a lot of what's in most of my treats. So there's an exemption across the US. I think Washington is the only one that decided that they weren't going to hold to that. And with Chews, there's no requirement to do any testing or list ingredients. And that's where all the sketchy stuff comes in. That's where like the raw hides, they don't have to really tell you everything that's in it. And that's where you get that formaldehyde and the really sketchy products. So I tell people a lot, I'm like, I really try to be extra clear because I'm trying to bring in people who have very sensitive dogs, or even just the people that want to be more educated about it. And I almost consider myself like an advocate for the average pet parent, because I think a lot in our industry, we're so concerned about doing everything perfectly. And we have to keep in mind that most people see that and they're scared off. There's a lot of like negative tactics about like, never do this, these things never to do for your dog. Don't feed cold food. Don't feed dry food. And I'm like, try not to if you can, you know what I mean? But that isolates a lot of people. And I think that pet food labeling and pet treat labeling and everything in the pet food supplement, whatever, that's where the greenwashing really pisses me off, because that preys on the people that just don't really know.
Yeah.
And especially through our platforms, we get to see the people that do know better a little bit. And that leaves behind a really big group of people. And those people, I start to tell them some of these things and they're like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, it's really sketchy.
Well, I mean, I actually want to go back to the first thing you said. You were like,
yeah, sorry, diatribe there, but
no, like you said, people are like, wait, that has a face on it. Like, and I think that actually fundamentally is the issue. The issue is that we are so far removed from our food sourcing that we think the most natural things for us and our pets to eat are weird and wrong. And that is where these companies really get to like jump in and prey on that lack of knowing, understanding, and connection to our food sourcing and say, no, this is the best thing for you. No, that's the best thing for you, because we are so disconnected. We don't know.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite things right now is like people are trying to do better, right? And especially with pet obesity, they say like no people food, no table scraps. Okay. And then they're like, yeah, they're very proud of it. They're like, and we do no table scraps, no people food. I'm like, what's people food? And what's just food?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the question I put out there. And they're like, well, and I'm like, yeah, don't feed your dog maybe barbecue grilled chicken or like the trimmings and like maybe a sauced up super salty steak. But like, is a blueberry people food or is that just food? Sweet potato, chicken, tallow, ghee, things like that. Those are just food and you should be giving your dogs that. And honestly, by not giving your dogs people food, you're doing them a disservice, but we've scared them away. And like, I don't want people to have obese dogs. I don't want to say like, give your dog scraps. And then like, you know what I mean? I'd rather your dog be healthy. But I think we're doing that a disservice by scaring people away from just food. And that's, I think, how, I don't know if it's veterinary or if it's just, I don't know where the root of that is or how to address that, but.
So I think ultimately AFCO is there to take waste, industrial waste and waste from the human food industry and find a use for it. And so they put it into pet food. And so these are the people that are educating veterinarians. And
oh, for sure.
If you are honest about what's in that packaging of feed, let's be real, it's not food, it's feed. Generally speaking, there are foods out there, but a lot of what we're talking about is feed. If you're honest about it, people won't buy it. Right?
Yeah.
So they
if they were honest about it, dogs wouldn't eat it. That's why they have to disguise it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know. It's AFCO is such a, and I was just listening to your previous episode too, trying to catch up, and it's such a sick. I like that they have a basis so that our dogs aren't eating grossly unbalanced food, but the corruption behind it, like, it's good in theory to have those requirements. I'm glad people aren't cheating and killing our dogs, but it is. And I do understand nobody likes waste. Mm-hmm. And I like the general idea of repurposing waste. I mean, I go to butchers and I buy what they would normally send out to rendering plants, some of it. So, like, I have to have a special rendering license to be able to go buy fresh beef ears, tracheas, skins. The only human grade products that I buy are like my Gerber organic chicken. My Culver duck is items that would normally go to Asian markets, and those are all human grade. Most of the stuff I buy that would be considered feed. And so that's kind of the line that I walk, that I'm like, it's not that I'm buying trash, but I think it's a disservice to let those things go to waste. But then when you're talking about, the fry oil, the rotten grocery store products with their foam trays, deceased pets with their harnesses and collars, you know what I mean? It's that maybe can be wasted. Well, and that could be okay.
Yeah, well, I think, the answer probably really lies in returning to regenerative farming so that there isn't all of this waste. But that's a whole other thing that we don't.
Have you seen The Lunatic Farmer?
No,
I haven't watched it yet. It's Joel. I can't remember if it's Joe or Joel Salatin. But he is a amazing regenerative farmer. I'm nuts about him right now. And I'm hoping that he gets more of a voice this year with everything, but we can talk about that on the other side of things. But that really is the answer. I mean, there's so many of these farms that I work with that they're like, oh my God, you'll buy the heads and necks, and that's amazing. And these are your organic pasture raised. They're not even certified organic. It's hard for these little farms to get certified organic, but your humane pasture raised animals and things like that. I have a really cool farm up by us called Tea Hills that I get chicken from. And we have a really cool relationship with them and just these companies where I can buy their extras. And I always tell people all the time, it's such an ironic thing that I was a vegetarian for a really solid time, because now I sling body parts for a living. And I just think it's really humane to use the entire animal because there's so many nutrients and things like that. But then they get away with rawhide and some of these other really gross byproducts that I'm like, it's not really the same.
No, it is not at all. Well, okay. So just to kind of go back a little bit, one of the things I remember seeing this in the new, what is it called? New product showcase at Super Zoo a few years ago. It was a kibble, but it was called holistic. And I'm like, that's an oxymoron. Like, what?
Yeah, well, that's
so holistic, veterinarian approved,
I'm looking
even
through my like wording rules
biodegradable.
here. I have the whole list. I think
Yeah.
there's absolutely no requirements and there's no definition in pet food for the word holistic, which is so
Mm-mm.
annoying because that's such a powerful word. To me, that means a lot.
It is.
And that's something that I live by. I feel like I try to live a holistic lifestyle in general. You know what I mean? Like supporting the body from the root up. And it's just slung around like a bag of rocks these days, I feel like.
It is. There's no legal definition for holistic. Premium veterinarian approved is unregulated. Hypoallergenic is unregulated. Non-toxic is unregulated. And superfood is unregulated.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard. And I mean, I even have to think about marketing because I have bills to pay. Buzzwords are buzzwords.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like when I say superfoods, I'm using cranberries and organic parsley and thyme and organic lion's mane mushroom and I mean, what is it? Blue Buffalo with their life source bits.
Well,
the
that's
life
exactly
source bits. Like
what
about that is sourcing life?
I know. Where my mind went was not, okay, yes, blueberries, cranberries, mushrooms, whatever. Those are superfoods. Okay, there's no legal definition for them or a definition through AFCO for them, but we all kind of understand them to be superfoods. And I don't think that's necessarily something I would debate on a packaging, but I would debate the sourcing and the quality of that product and also the percentage of what's in that product, because you're going to see on the front of the label, almost all of that is marketing on a pet food label. So you might see a huge heaping of cranberries or blueberries alongside a beautiful chicken breast, but when you're reading, if you actually read the ingredient label, it's going to be listed after salt.
There's
right?
like less
that's
than
where
one blueberry
I'm like,
in the entire 50-pound bag. Yeah.
how
I know. And
deceptive
that's
is
so
that?
hard. I get so frustrated for my pet owners that buy these products and they're like, yeah, we do the lamb and rice one. And it uses like 100% lamb meal as the first ingredient. And like, we read the label, we made sure that lamb was the first one. I'm like, you did your best. You know what I mean? And like, I'm so sorry that the industry is not honest. But you're getting scammed. Like anything with food coloring in the pet food industry is literally there just to make an idiot of you. Your dog sees brown.
Right. It's there for the humans to be like, oh, look at all these pretty colors. It must have fruits and vegetables in it because of these colors, when that's not
the green peas and the orange carrots and the red meat chunks. And yeah, it happens to be all those colors that end up being brown for our dogs anyway. So that's just, yeah, like I said, it's like I almost feel like I have to be an advocate for the normal person, because you should be furious about that. Like if somebody came up to you and like lied to your face, you'd be offended. And it's 100% all of the health washing in the pet industry is just preying on the ignorance of the average person. And that makes me want to light something on fire. Like that makes me want to flip a car. I can't, because I'm but I say all the time, I'm so lucky to be part of an industry that's founded in integrity. Like I never trust the integrity of Rita Hogan, of Judy Morgan, of people like that, because that they're out there just to be honest and to be open and to promote the brands that are being honest and open and are actually there to increase the longevity and health span of our pets. 90% of the industry is not. 90% of the industry is there because they know it's $1 billion industry. And we have to try to help people fight around that. And so, yeah, that's why it's like the low calorie in the human industry, but it's loaded with preservatives that are just pickling you from head to toe. And I'm like,
or the sugar-free and diet, that I literally cringe when I see that anymore. I'm like, that is so much worse for you than if you just ate the regular stuff or drank the regular stuff. Like, please stop doing this. Please stop.
And it's okay to have happy mediums. Like, we all need a treat sometimes too. Like, I give my dog pup cups at Starbucks. That's my thing. Some people would tell me that I'm absolutely poisoning my dogs with that. And I'm like, we need to be humble. My dogs eat like raw whole prey rabbits like 7 days a week. You know what I mean? I'm like, one pup cup should they have it? No, but it is what it is. One glass of wine is not going to kill me. And I think that that's something too that I'm realizing about our industry. And I love podcasts like yours and things like that. But there's some people out there that are like, never feed kibble. And I'm like, this is a really hard time for people. Like, if that's what you can afford, I'm going to immediately unfollow you if I feel shamed. And your budget is what it is. Do the best way you can with that. And giving people the tools to sort through the bullshit and find find the good things out there, and to, learn how to read the packaging. It's a good tool. It's like teaching them to fish instead of giving them fish kind of deal.
Yeah. I have to admit that like it's so hard to get people's attention on social media anymore.
It is.
That like that first 3-second hook.
Oh yeah.
I do try to be a little bit more controversial in that first 3-second hook to get people's attention. Yeah. And then I'm like, but then I try to walk it back a little and I'm like, let's try not to, or don't feed all kibble, or, like I want to be inclusive, but I also need to get your attention. And I think there's a line, and it's hard to figure out where that line is because
it's not going to be a good job with that. A lot of people don't walk it back for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
a lot of people don't walk it back.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for people to not have to feed kibble. I do understand that I would rather have a dog in a home eating a kibble diet and that pet parent ultimately learn to add some toppers or whatever than that pet sit in a shelter their whole life or get euthanized from sitting in a shelter for too long. That's absolutely where I'm at.
Yeah. And what I get some people to also is, instead of spending all your money on a very top end kibble, because in the end, they all have pretty high carbs. They're all going to have those AGEs and the things that result from very high temperature processing. And it is kind of what it is. I'd rather you feed a mid-range, affordable food and add toppers. So a lot of what I talked about this weekend, because these are a lot of rural people, they're doing their best. They're kind of blue collar. Find a local butcher that does maybe a dog blend, which often has like heart meat and some trim, or like liver and things like that. I'd rather you feed a lower quality kibble, which is painful to say, because I know how low it can get, but something like Nutro. And then add fresh meats to that. Add some local chicken eggs. Add things like my products or bone broth. And then maybe from there, they start to learn and they look at their own diet and they look at everything around that. And yeah, I feel like, because I also started out, I mean, I got accused in the beginning of kibble shaming in a lot of my videos. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Sorry. I was just trying to get shares. I don't know. We're just out here fighting for whatever little piece of the algorithm we can get. And because we also are normal people with bills to pay and dogs to feed. And I'm really lucky that I've gotten to partner with so many of these amazing brands. But like, it's expensive sometimes, unless you have a lot of time and resources. And especially for people wanting to get into raw feeding and they're like, yeah, I'm going to go into 100%, we're going to make our own raw. I'm like, you're going to burn yourself out. It can be really intimidating, or you see all these beautiful bowls on the internet and you start feeling like you have to do that. And that's why I feel like I've kind of humbled myself.
Never once in my life made a beautiful bowl. Never once.
I'll do it for like Easter. Or like, Easter.
I did like a charcuterie board almost one year for her birthday, I did, where it was like, I did all these different like prime rib and scrambled egg and blueberry,
Ooh.
I did all the things. And so it was interesting to see like what she went for first, but like that was one time.
Yeah, I know. Should we like normalize messy bowls? I know I have so many of my customers and followers tag me in these like outrageous bowls, and I'm like, good for you. My dogs ate today. You know what I mean? Like, half the time my dogs get whatever I'm making that day, and I'll throw them a rabbit leg or a quarter or something like that. And then we balance it out at the end of the day with the Dr. Harvey's. But yeah, it's just, I just feel, especially going out to Super Zoo now and seeing just everything is exploding. Everybody's got a CBD. Everybody's got a supplement. You know what I mean?
Everybody's got probiotics. Everybody's got, and that's another thing that
everybody's got a kibble.
Yeah. I really appreciate the brands that have not expanded into a kibble. I think that's hard because you know you're leaving money on the table, right? As a brand owner. I think that can be hard for people as they grow. And so I really respect and appreciate the ones that are not doing that. They're like, no, this is what we do. We do fresh food, and it's okay if our customer base is smaller.
Stay in your lane.
I very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very, very
well,
much.
And I look at brands like Green Juju and Solutions. I'm like, they are by all means going against what might sell more. I mean, that is a very top-notch product, and they could make a lot more if they cut some more corners. But I think that by going that whole food route, you've created these foods that people, like I said, it has like innate integrity. Like you look at that food and you're like, there is no scam, and that you can't hide anything behind an ingredient label that's beef heart, kelp, and beef. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's really, really, really nice to see brands like that growing and succeeding in the industry, because I get a lot of pressure. They're like, well, you need to cut your quality down a little bit, or like you need to be realistic to be able to make more money on this. I'm like, no.
Right.
Yeah. I don't make a lot of money on like my rabbit meat products, but that's because I choose to work with a really wonderful organic rabbit farmer an Amish farmer, and that's the quality I expect. And I love the relationship that we have. And so it's just going to be one of those things. We'll try to balance it out in other ways, but there's a lot of push for that, especially from the people that don't get it. And I think that's where you see vision-driven versus money-driven businesses separating out. Well,
and you have to make money. You can't stay in business if you're not making money. So
but is your growth focused on, like, for me, my growth and my whole business is based off of this like anger and passion that I have about the pet industry. And I'm like, I'm selling treats to pay the bills and to get in front of people to have conversations that'll ultimately extend or improve their pets' lives. Like, it's not even about the treats for me. The treats are the means to the end. And what a unique position and what an amazing position we are in to have a voice in the industry, to be able to fulfill our passions. I rant about that. That's my one thing. I mean, as a mom, being able to have a something where I feel like I'm actually making a difference in the world is so cool. And I think even just like a corporate centered world in general, it's cool. It's humbling. I'm not rich anytime, I won't be driving my pink Mercedes anytime soon, but
I get it.
And then you have the businesses that are they're just funded. They're just startups, your Purinas that are just out there to make their money and to meet the bottom line. Yeah. And you can tell the differences. That's hard. That was hard to see that with Champion, because I really liked them. And then all of a sudden, all of the things, because I worked for Champion Pet Foods right out of college. And that was when they were like, we won't work with big companies. Like, I remember having to call individual customers when we pulled out of Chewy, because Chewy sold to PetSmart or something like that. And then so now Chewy was big box store owned, and we wouldn't work with big box stores. We were committed to independent. And now look. And I think it's great that things like that are accessible, but it was just so painful to watch them go back on all of these promises that they'd been making. And then all of a sudden they're making a grain inclusive food. All of a sudden they're making, and I'm like, ancient grains.
Yeah. Well, and like I was saying earlier, it's like that bottom line, like missing out on a part of the market. And I think that's why, getting back to like the greenwashing, it is these big companies mostly that are trying to grab market share in a market that they know they have no footing in. So they have to use marketing tactics to try to grab that dollar from the consumer, because their product doesn't actually fit in that market. And I think, what that consumer wants.
I think that's exactly it. I think that the greenwashing you see is from the money-based companies, or like the ones that are in it for the money. The actual health benefits are from those passion or those vision-driven companies. And they're just trying to copy because, they see people are out there. I mean, there's a supplement for everything these days, which is cool. But also now it's very hard. You have to really do your research to cut through the bad ones. And that's hard. I'm like, I just want some vitamin D. I don't know. There's like 8 million rules. I just wanted some CBD. And then like you start researching it and you're like, oh, got it. It's 0% bioavailable. Fantastic. Yeah. And I think that's really it. I think that's those business companies are the ones trying to cling to what they see everybody's coming in for. And they're trying to do better, and they're preying on that.
They are very much preying on people who have the interest of their pets at heart. They want to do better, and they just don't. They haven't done the research, and they don't understand. They're preying on the fact that they have dominated the marketing in the industry for so long that people just trust them, and they shouldn't. They absolutely should not, but they do. But I think, the advertising that we have been subjected to over the last 80 some years, maybe longer, has just gotten so evil, for lack of a better word. It is.
Oh, if they don't start outlawing pharmaceutical ads on TV, I think I'm going to boycott. I think I might start flipping cars again. Every time I see one, I'm like, I'm done watching. I'm instantly mood ruined. Why did I just see a hepatitis vaccine ad in the middle of my Real Housewives or whatever?
Wow.
And then you look at the background behind that, but that's why we get along so well, is I'm like, you start to see the background. Well, it's not about the money. It's about control of the media. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's so sick. And it's the same thing with pet food. They have control of everything. You look at who owns, or who Purina and like Hills and Palm, all of those big names own. They own what, like 80% of the veterinary hospitals in the United States?
Yes. And interestingly, I actually was just talking to, I just got to interview Dr. Billinghurst, and yes. And Colgate-Palmolive, which is Hills, just purchased a raw food company in Australia. So I asked him, I was like, how do you think, and I mean, obviously this is all speculation and opinion, but like, how do you think, because you've been in this industry for so long, these big pet food companies are going to have to start stepping back what they're teaching veterinarians if they're getting into the raw food market? And he would, of course, and then he asked me what the pet food company was, and I told him, and he was like, I've been wondering why their advertising has gone crazy. Like, I guess on TV, they've been advertising like crazy. And he's like, I understand why they've been able to do that now.
That's such a weird one too, because I'm like, I guess it's cool that it's becoming mainstream, but once it becomes mainstream, that's when like the crappy ones start sliding in. And I'm like, I don't want to call Stella and Chewy's crappy, but it's definitely not one that I would choose. I'm glad for brands like Primal. People talk a lot of crap about Primal, and I was actually just talking to a bunch of their reps this weekend. It is such an incredible food that's so for the availability of it. And it's such an approachable option for people. Like, if I can get people onto Primal, I've won. I'm like, that is you look at the ingredients, it's at least whole food. Is it the best food in the world? No. Maybe we can move to Steve's later on or something like that. But it's so approachable. It's easy to find. It's, not so scary, and it's a little bit more accepted. Brands like that, I'm really grateful for, whether or not, whatever their intentions are, I don't know. I think they at least started out well because the ingredients are honestly great.
Yeah. It actually is interesting how available they are, because like I have a client in Alaska, and it's about the only thing she can get. I'm like, okay, then that's.
And they just started doing bulk boxes, and I'm like, the prices aren't bad. It's not enough to like scare people. You can get it in your Pet Supply Plus. So that's what I'm saying, going back to like the average consumer, making things available to them. And that's why like I do like my whole prey rabbit sticks. It's whole prey, but it's just a crunchy little sausage. It's got this cute pink label. It's approachable. It's not so scary. Because then, I bring somebody in and they see rabbit heads on the table and they're like, we're in the wrong place. And I'm like, look to the PG section. Like, don't run away. I grade everything like PG to rated R. I'm like, look away from the dead birds. Go to the jerky. It's at least human grade. Because it's a lot of times just getting people thinking and getting their toe in the door. And then you can be like, have you thought about swapping out the milk bones for something better? But it's hard. It's these things. I was watching cartoons with my son, and they're feeding the dog kibble and little biscuits. And it's so deeply ingrained in our society that you have to kind of wean off of it. So that's why I'm like, I'm glad that if your big box, your big companies are starting to get into fresh food diets, even if it's gently cooked and stuff like that, the vets are going to have to back off. It's going to start being a little bit more of an open door. And I think that overall that's advantageous if we can catch that opening and maneuver it a little bit. Like we were talking about this before, it could be good, or it could just funnel people towards the junk. I think it needs to be kind of strategically handled.
Yeah, well, and that's like I've been saying forever, I don't like the Farmer's Dog's food, but I am very grateful for their marketing budget, because it alone, it has brought in so many other foods that are just like it, but it alone, they have opened so many people's eyes to the idea that dogs should not be eating that dry kibble every meal of their life for their entire life. And so I'm very grateful for that. And my hope is that it's a stepping stone for people.
Are they the one it's one of those that like their first couple lines of their ad, or like most of their ads are centered around overweight and obese pets?
I
can't remember if it's them or like Maeve, or it's one of those like subscription companies. And I'm like, weird, because it's a high carb food. However, we need to normalize. I say this in the nicest way possible, I'd say I'm like the number one dog body shamer, and you're welcome for it, because it's like we need to normalize critiquing our pets' weight more. I don't want to say like fat shaming, but that is the easiest thing that you can do for your dogs, is to get weight off of them. Like,
I think it's so hard because, and I mean this in the best possible way, it is it is so hard for a person to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I need to make a change. So if they're going to look at their pet and say their pet is overweight and not look at themselves, like, I think that's why it can be so hard for people.
Yeah. I feel like we've gone through the wave of being fat is bad, and we're starting to shift it more to respect your body. Your body is a temple. I'm trying to think about how to word this. Like, I feel, at least in everything that I see, because I'm in CrossFit, and it's a very much like all bodies welcome, all body types. Like, most of the most a lot of the most amazing athletes in CrossFit are what you would look at and say they're overweight, but they're the strongest, most in shape people ever. So it's like, it doesn't matter what your body looks like. And especially for women, like, we hit a point where it's like, you're just gonna have a muffin top, and it's not realistic for a normal mom to get back to, like, I'm at the, I know I'm at the point now. I was talking to Candon, I'm like, it's really just unfair. You just drank half a gallon of milk and polished off some Oreos, and I think you lost 10 pounds. I ate some chocolate and like went up 2 pant sizes, and I work out 7 days a week. I'm like, I'm so sick. I hate salad. Like, I don't want to eat diet.
Oh my gosh, girl. It is
just turning into a positive conversation versus a negative conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that regard, like, I actually I feel very positive about what I do to keep myself healthy. Like, I don't look at what I do as like I'm missing out on anything or I'm deprived of anything. If I want sugar, I'm going to have sugar. And I'm just going to do my best to not feel bad about it an hour later.
Yeah. Well, and I was just actually, I had that revelation earlier today, because I'm like, I just naturally don't like breakfast. And when I started doing CrossFit really heavily, I was getting pretty good, but I just, like, I could not put on muscle. And like, I've always been a smaller person, but I always just withheld calories to stay thin. And that was easy for me. I don't really have a huge appetite anyway, but I didn't realize what a negative relationship I had with food until I had to start eating more. And it was really hard. It was really hard to rewire, because I'm like, I was calculating how many calories I was getting and like how much protein I was getting in a day. And it was grossly under. I'm like, how am I alive? Honestly, I was getting like half of the calories I should be. And then I'd come home from the gym and eat like a zucchini. And then I'm like, why can I not gain muscle? And I'm like, I was eating like 5 grams of protein a day. And so now I'm aiming for 100. And it took me a long time, but now I get to the point where I'm like, man, I need to prioritize protein. And I don't even really think about calories. I try to have gotten to a point where I'm trying to figuring out quantity of what I'm eating, because I did, like, when my working out slows down. But it is a lot of mindset with it. I don't feel restricted. If my body tells me to binge some chocolate, gotta be honest, I'm doing it. I have my wine still. If I say, like, wine is poison, you can't have it, then I think I want it more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now it's a lot of just, trying to have a healthy relationship with things. And I think about that with our pets too. So getting back to the pet side of things, but it is like, it's not depriving of your dog of food. You're just prioritizing longevity. You're prioritizing their health span,
Right. I think it is these two things are very intertwined. Whether you start getting yourself healthy first or you start getting your pets healthy first, like, they are so intertwined. You're going to eventually you're going to at least realize and make some changes for yourself if you start making changes for your pet. And I think that's a really good thing. It's a really, really good thing with this.
As well as we know that our pets feed off of our mental, like, our energy. And so the more in sync you both are, the better holistic picture you're going to get.
Yeah. But yeah, so, and to kind of further that thought, greenwashing in the pet industry, it doesn't end in the pet industry. absolutely in everything we buy for ourselves as well.
Very heavy.
So if you start learning to read, I think that's one of the first things. Start learning to read labels, not just the front, the pretty pack, the front of those pretty packages. Like, I went to a Walmart the other day for the first time in I don't know how long, and I'm just like like it's overload for me. I know I'm sure I'm like in the minority. I can't watch my nephew play a video game. I can't walk into a Target or a Walmart and see these like, colors and bright and everything's bright and everything's trying to grab your, like, it is overload for me. And I'm just like, I need to get out of here. I cannot handle this.
Yeah.
But when that's all you have seen for years and years and years, you're like blind to it.
Hard.
Yeah. So turning around those packages, period, end of statement. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's for you or if it's for your pets. Turn around those packages and look at the ingredients. Are you comfortable with those ingredients? I think that's a really good place to start.
Yeah. And that's a lot of what I try to preach is like conscious consumerism. Like, it's hard. It is a lot to learn. Like this is why I'm excited to talk more on the human side of things. But I deal a lot with parents now who are like, my God, I can barely get through the grocery store as it is. Like, if I had to turn over every single label, you get better at it. You know what to look for. If I see certain tag words on the label, I'm immediately not even going to spend my time on it. At least I know with like certified organic, I still am going to turn it over, but I know that we're missing out on some stuff. Or if I go to Aldi, that takes a little bit of the guesswork out of it for me. But I'm like, marshmallows have red dye in them. Everything has dye in it. I can't buy pepperoni that doesn't have BHA and BHT. My son loves pepperoni. I love pepperoni. And I don't want to deprive him of all of the fun things. I mean, I grew up on Captain Crunch and purple ketchup. Do you remember that purple ketchup from like the, 2000s?
No, but do you remember clear Pepsi?
I mean, bring that back, I guess. How do they make it clear?
I don't know. I guess they just didn't put the caramel color in it. I have no idea. But I think there are like all of these things that we remember that are, all of it was so very nostalgic and absolutely horrible for us.
Well, that's what Trix tried to take artificial food coloring out, but then people were furious because they're like, you're ruining their memories. Brother,
wow,
please. And so then they went back and they added them back in, and they're like, we tried, you guys didn't like it. And I'm like, that's so disappointing. Like, we're so close. Yeah. If they would have done that and succeeded, would others have followed suit? So Kellogg is like, meh, not going to do that. And
well, and I wonder, because I think West Virginia just banned all artificial food coloring.
I did see that. What a random state to do that.
A very random state to do that. And so I wonder if that applies to pet food or not, or just human food. And I also wonder how that is going to work, because, a company makes what they make and distributes it to every state. So are they just no longer going to distribute to West Virginia? Or are they going to change their products so that they can distribute to,
I think, didn't California ban them a while ago? Or at least
I don't think all
ago.
of them. Is it all? I didn't think they did all of them.
If you're watching this and you know the answer to that, put it. Because I just watched To Die For, and then I followed that. I was like binge watching the health documentaries, and I followed that up right with Food Inc. And that's what they're saying. They're like, okay, sure, it's just one state, but if you get enough individual states, I mean, what are these foods going to do? Just not sell? Are they going to make are they going to make a new product just to sell in that one state? No, eventually they're going to fold.
Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating about like the Vani Hari Food Babes situation. She's like, we're not asking you to make a new product. Just sell us the Canadian Fruit Loops. Like, it's still a junk food. We just want it to not be maybe poisonous. And it's so frustrating to me. My favorite one that I like to bring up, I don't know if it's my favorite, I think it's my least favorite, but the nutrient shake that they give to cancer patients.
Yeah. Yeah.
It had red 3 in it, which was proven carcinogenic. What?
I went,
You're feeding cancer to cancer patients? My God.
2 years ago, roughly, I went, my aunt, my uncle's wife, so I wasn't blood related to her, but anyway, she was in the hospital because she had lung cancer, and I went up there with my mom to see her, and I'm literally in this hospital. First of all, I hate being in a hospital, and I'm looking at all of the food that has been brought to her, and it is 100% sugar and carbs. It was macaroni and cheese. It was like apple juice or grape juice. It was pudding, Jello pudding. I mean, oh, did I lose you on Instagram again?
Yeah, my phone died. I just realized I was about to sneaky text Candid and tell him to bring me a phone charger. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
No, I mean, it's just, it's insane to me that it's in the hospitals. And so that's the same thing. I mean, for pets, we're seeing diabetic cats being fed kibble. We're seeing animals with kidney disease.
Let me wrap up this Instagram real quick. All right, guys. So yeah, we are seeing what Lauren was just saying, because we're still live on YouTube, is that we're seeing the exact same things with cancer and pets. They are still recommending these really high carbohydrate diets that, by the way, also have rancid fats all over them. All of this is horrible for us and for our pets. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. If you have more questions about greenwashing in the pet industry, you can DM either one of us. She's at Girls Gone Raw Pet Health, and I'm at the Pet Parenting Reset. And love to answer your questions. So we'll see you next time. Okay.
Sorry, naturally I plugged everything else in except for my phone.
You're good. You're good.
One of those days.
I just didn't want to have a ton of dead air over there.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, some of my favorite examples I have is of the greenwashing the pet producer. I should have brought this up earlier, but raw coated kibble.
Oh my God. I hate that so much.
Scam.
Yes.
I said, if you see raw coated, immediately avoid.
Such a waste of money. Go buy a mid-grade
kibble and add something fresh to it. Mm-hmm. They're putting raw food dust or freeze-dried raw dust maybe into it. And I'm like, I love the fact that Stella and Chewy's is somewhat normalizing and Instinct is somewhat normalizing. It's just a synthetic nutrient pack with some meat. And I'm like, it's just not it. It's almost it.
Well, I mean, and since you brought up Stella and Chewy's, I feel like I have never fed Stella and Chewy's, but from talking to other people, talking to clients, talking to peers, like other holistic pet health coaches, I feel like since they went into, I think it's Petco. I don't remember which one they went into. Since they went into big box, I feel like their quality has suffered. And there has been, and I'm not even saying that for their business model, maybe that's okay. I don't know. It's their business model, not my business model. But they definitely, I do feel like they're, because you have to produce so much more when you're in a big box store. I don't want to say it's not understandable. I get it. I just don't like it. You know what I mean?
That's why I've had distribution chains opened up to me, and I tried it for a second, but the amount of money that distribution asks on top of wanting to make sure that we're able to give margins to our retailers, I'm like, I would have to go buy absolutely bottom of the barrel product. But people they're like, we want your high quality product in these distribution channels. And I'm like, I can't afford that. Yeah. You can't afford that. They're like, well, you can raise prices. Then people won't be able to afford that. I'm like, yeah, I could, but I want it to be accessible. So that's like such a hard time. Another one that drives me nuts, kibble for cats. Scam.
Yeah.
Scam. It's killing them.
100%.
It shouldn't be like, well, kidney disease is the number one killer of cats. Kibble is the number one killer of cats. Dry food is not.
Absolutely.
Because nothing about their biology demands dry food.
No.
But then once you get them on it, good luck getting them off of it. I mean, it's
hard.
We did that, and it took a long time, but I eventually have all of them on something now. And I'm like, well, they drink a lot of water. It takes something like 13,000 licks to get the appropriate amount of water.
It's insane how much water is needed to digest kibble. It's insane. Your pet, I don't care if it's a dog or a cat, could not drink that much water if they wanted to.
Yeah.
If you like force fed it,
yeah,
it wouldn't happen.
And like cats' tongues are just not designed for that. They're like, well, he just licks and licks and licks all day. I'm like, well, your cat has gotten this much water in an hour of licking. Doesn't that sound exhausting? Like, it shouldn't be like that. That's really hard. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, soak your kibble. Take a tub, put it in there, maybe get some freeze-dried raw, soak it. At least you're adding the moisture back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like a transition hack for people, because I'm like I said, a lot of people, I would love to get them on raw or wet food or something like that. That's just not going to happen to some people, but everybody has water and everybody has Tupperware, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'd rather you do that than something. It's just kidney disease and urinary blockages and things like that will kill your cat, period.
They're rampant.
Well, that's what they say. Kidney disease is the number one killer of cats.
No.
What's causing the kidney disease? Why do so many cats have it?
Exactly.
It's like holistic. Also, the USA ingredients, or they'll say like a US brand. Okay. Well, you imported the jerky from China and then put it into bags here
in the US.
And that is a US product now.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's Chinese product. And that's what happened with the chicken jerky and melamine scandal back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of those were labeled US. And that's frustrating.
There's so much going on.
What's her name? Kim?
Kim, yeah.
I love a good human name on a dog. But I mean, like, it's...
Yeah.
I feel like I should have gone over this list of mine first, but...
Oh, that's all right. I mean, there are so many things, and I think we just have to start learning that marketing is intentionally deceptive, and that we need to pay. We just have to pay more attention. We just have to. Nobody is out there that nobody has your best interest or your pet's best interest at heart more than you do. I mean, there are some good companies like what Lauren is doing, don't get me wrong, but like at the end of the day, you care more about your animal than anybody else in the world. And so it's our responsibility to learn what things mean, what's just marketing, and what is actually real about a label of a product. Because most of the label is not real. Most of the, whatever you're looking at is marketing. It's not real. And that's really unfortunate. Yeah. But it is what it is. That's where we're at.
It's hard. And I'm like, there's so many studies that just, I mean, would you call it like biohacking when they've researched what colors and what frequencies? I was just watching a video about how like biohacked the entire Cocomelon show is. How like every 1.5 seconds they did research studies with toddlers on what colors and what frequencies and what like musical notes and things like that will cause them to become basically addicted to these shows. And so then you have kids that like when you try to withdraw them from Cocomelon, they're monsters because it's like hypnosis. And they do that with the military. They figured out what frequencies and flashes they can do to alter somebody's brain chemistry to make them be more compliant in the deep state. I've been watching too many Joe Rogan podcasts, but it's true. They've done that. And even the FBI and stuff, like, they can't deny that. So biohacking our kids, they're biohacking us into just blind trust. And yeah, it is hard. You have to change your whole routine with it sometimes. And that's hard for people.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I think that's probably a good place to end, and kind of, if you guys are interested more in like the human side of this, Lauren and I are going to be talking about that more. You can reach out to us to find out where. It's not going to be on this channel. This is my pet channel.
Yeah.
But
we'll keep them church and state.
Yes. But we are going to be talking about the human side of this more, because I think that is also, I mean, I don't know. I think if you're passionate about one, you're just kind of naturally passionate about the other, because it all ties in and goes hand in hand. So thank you for being here with me this week.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry, this is something that I feel like I get angry about. Like, I notice that I'm going on rants, and I'm like, rein it back a little bit.
You're good. But you're good.
It's always fun being able to get out and talk to people, and like I said, see if we can make a little bit of a difference and influence at least a couple people to start reading labels and things like that. And we're so lucky to be in a position where we get to have a voice with that. So thanks for platforming me.
Girl, oh my gosh. Okay. Yes, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. And guys, thanks for hanging in there with us and watching and listening. Let us know if you have any questions about anything, or I think both of us are pretty happy to help. And we'll see you around.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Cool.
I was going to say, do I need to hang up, or did it just stop recording?
No, it just stopped recording. We're good.
Okay. Sorry about my phone. I looked over and I was like, oh, shit.
No, you're good. It's fine. We were almost at an hour. We were almost at an hour anyway.
I know. I need to learn how to